Breaking up with someone you love, how to know when it's time to move on. Quarrels, spats, arguments, and all types of disagreements most often lead to the point when a couple feels it is no longer worth trying to save a relationship. Once this place in the life of two people is reached, there are 3 questions they should consider before pursuing happiness in opposite directions. Point 1. Is this relationship at all savable? 2. Was the split up made by a logical conclusion reached by both parties? 3. Were finances any part of the angst that became built up between the two? After these 3 questions are answered, you will know if it is time to move on without each other or if maybe you just need a little time to patch it up your relationship. This is true even if the patch job is going to entail a lot of spackle. This article will help you through this process. Is this relationship at all savable? Of the 3 questions needing to be answered, this one's the toughest because it is somewhat a matter of opinion. First of all, one of you may think the relationship can be saved, but the other may think this would be impossible. I'm sure you've heard the old adage, where there's a will there's a way. From my experience, this holds true with love relationships. In other words, if one person thinks there is hope, there is hope. Sure, maybe the other 2 questions won't have the right answers, and even if they do, there may come a point where you both reach the conclusion it cannot be saved. Still, for now, if you think there is anything you both have to build a relationship upon, the answer to question number 1 is yes. Was the split up made by a logical conclusion come to by both parties? Many split ups occur during a disagreement that gets out of hand. While this may lead to hard feelings, complete with tears, this type of breakup is the result of a temper flare. Sometimes, you can even throw a few drinks in there just to make the fight hotter. Still, a quarrel, even a horrendous one, is one thing. A breakup, however, needs to be a decision made with absolute resolve. This isn't what happens during a lover's quarrel, even a contentious one. I am excluding, of course, where there was physical abuse. If one of the 2 parties is capable of this, the relationship should be terminated immediately. Were finances any part of the angst that became built up between the 2? Sometimes bad financial situations can make for a lot of unhappiness. This unhappiness will work its way into a love relationship. Usually along the way a lot of resentment and sometimes even some jealousy become involved. This will happen because one person will invariably believe she is getting more of the financial burden or that the other partner is receiving more materially than he or she. Of course, a lot of hostility can be the result of such thinking. Maybe someday, all these bad finances will cause the 2 to get together and mutually decide to call it quits. Until that time, the relationship isn't a goner just because the cash flow isn't so great. If money could control love relations, mankind would have ceased to exist thousands of years ago. Maybe you need a lot of financial counseling, but breaking up over money is a typical case of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So, the bottom line is this: if you answered the questions as follows: 1. No. 2. Yes. 3. No, it is definitely time to move on without one another. You have given it a try and it just wasn't going to work out. However, if you answered at all differently, you really should consider taking another look at one another. Probably, all your relationship needs is a little more work, and this work might just make the relationship stronger.